Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube. I'm so excited to show you what are in these boxes. They are Type 81 LMGs. LMG stands for light machine guns. However, these are civilian models, so they only shoot semi-auto. The only difference between the two of these are the finishing. This is the blue model. It comes with a sling, oil bottle. It was heavily coated in oil. I just wiped it off. You don't need to use solvent to wipe off the oil. Leave a little bit of oil because then you can go start shooting. Don't need to use solvent at all. It comes the bottle, as I mentioned, 2 mags. There's a space for the drum, and I did order a drum. It was in here. And I did order 2 extra mag. It was also in here, but I removed them because those are optionals. But this is for $1,500. This is what you would get. Okay. Now the next box, like I said, the only difference is the finishing. The next box is Phosphate model. That's a limited edition. The next shipment will not have this model. And you can tell the difference is that the phosphate is a duller finish. Apparently it's more durable than the blue. That's what I've been told. It's the same price. It doesn't make any difference. But the next shipment apparently was announced that it will still be $1,500, and it'll just be the blue model and not the phosphate model. Another words for phosphate is called parkerize, or park. That's what most people would say it. So I'm just gonna, since they're both the same, I'm just gonna get rid of the parkerized model, and I'm gonna compare the blue model to the rifle. So let's start with the comparison. Before I start with the comparison, I want to talk about what else is included in the box. Okay, it's a glossy manual about instructions, and interesting enough, it has quality certification, and basically it says it has been inspected. These two things I did not get with the rifle. And it also included these 3 packets. Inside there's white powder, and no, they're not cocaine, so don't go snorting them. It's moisture absorbing. They're taking this moisture seriously, and that's why your LMG is coated with oil, to make sure it doesn't get any rust from that 1 month of journey from China on the salty ocean to Canada. So, and if there is any moisture that somehow permeates into the cargo, then hopefully that these will absorb it. Okay. Now, if you've seen my past videos, you know I believe in recycling. I recycle copper pipes, ABS pipes, things like that, furnitures. Don't throw these away. You can reuse them. Halloween is just around the corner. You can hang these on the windows and tell your kids they're just tiny little ghosts. Okay? Don't throw them away. They're useful. Recycle them. Okay. Let's start with the comparison. Let's start from the back, move to the front, and let's start with the stock. This is called a Clubfoot, obviously. They're not interchangeable at all, and the reason is you can see from the retaining pins, they are a different location. Okay, and the back of this Clubfoot has a different trap door. You push this pin in, actually you push this lock in, and then pivot the door. And then inside is a, okay, why is it not coming out? Well, here it is, inside, and then to close it, you just simply just turn it back. Inside is your cleaning kit, which we'll talk some more about that later. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, to the top cover latch, there is a difference. The top cover latch has become smaller, and they did away with the hole that's there. I usually like the hole. It's like using a tool or a bullet, and I push it into the hole, and that helps me unlock the top cover. But for some reason they took that away. Next thing I noticed is a major change is the heads of the rivet for the trunnion. They seem to be much bigger. These two and these two, and they're also bigger on this side. So possibly because the LMG is a heavier gun, it requires heavier rivets. So that's a good thing. Also the finishing, I noticed the bluing on the LMGs looks better, shinier. That's what blue is, it's shinier. This one is little, that seemed to be blue, but this seemed to be park, so I don't know. The grip is identical. I checked the internals. Internals seem to all be the same. The bolt carrier, the spring, the trunnion, they all seem to be the same. The body length, the receiver length is the same. Also, the thickness of the receiver is also the same, 1.5 millimeter. So there's basically no change either except for the rivets from here to here. Moving along to the rear sight. This is where the major change came in, and I like it. I like this carrying handle. You know, this without the magazine, it weighs 10 pounds already. So just imagine if you're carrying a fully loaded drum. This will be super heavy. So it's nice to have that carrying handle. The only complaint I have about this carrying handle is that they didn't put it through a belt sander. It's kind of rough. It seems like, you know, it came out of casting and that's it. So that's my only complaint. It's not a deal breaker, but I love the carrying handle. Okay, another big change between the rifle and the LMG is the sights, the way it works. The rifle has two dials and both numbering is the same. Okay, it's and it works like this. It's starts at 1 and it's pointing towards you, and both sides is the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that's how you read it. Every time you turn, this rear sight moves up higher, and they're using a T-shape sight, T-shape to look through. Okay, that's the rifle. The LMG, they changed that. It turned from the T-shape to a cross. And basically what they did, okay, I want to show you the T-shape first. If you see, it's a T-shape. It's got a little cut in the bottom. And this is what it looks like. It's like a cross. Let me fold that so you can see that it's a cross. Alright, you see it's a cross shape. What they did is that the bar on top, they cut it open and became a cross. Now the numbers on the side is different also. On the right side, what are we looking at? We're looking at, now the numbers is different. Remember, on the rifle, as you turn counterclockwise, the number increases. As you turn counterclockwise, as you turn counterclockwise, the number increases. In this one, you're turning clockwise, the number increases. On the right side, and it's different than the left side. So be aware of that. 1. Okay, it's pointing up. And then it's clockwise. You turn clockwise. Then it jumps to 3. Then jumps to 4. And then 5 is actually pointing this direction. So it's actually 5, 4, 3, 1. 1 is actually it's pointing like parallel to the rifle. So the dial is reversed with the LMG. Now on the left side, the numbering is a 6, and you're turning counterclockwise on the left side, and it's 7, and then it's 0. Okay, and when you're at 0, you can, this handle's in a way, but if you're at 0, you pull it out and keep turning. Unfortunately, you keep turning, and then your top handguard comes straight up. But then, like I said, it's a little awkward because of your carrying handle, but that's how you do it. Okay. Now I read the instructions very clearly, and it doesn't say how to use the 600 and 700 meters. It does explain the 1, 3, 4, and 500 meters, but not the 600, 700 meters. But as you turn this, you'll see your rear sight is actually rising. But when you turn it to 6, your rear sight is actually falling from 5. So how do you use the 6 and 7? Not that I would ever shoot a 7.62 by 39, 600 meters, 700 meters. I barely would even shoot past 200 meters. So, but it's nice to know, because I like to know how the actual soldiers who had a real fully automatic would use them. As a full automatic, yes, I would use 600, 700 meters, no problem. But as a semi, no, I would never go that far. But I still want to know, how do they use this? And this, the book doesn't say it, the manual doesn't say it, but I have come to this from just pure logic, okay? What happens is, when you're using the right dial, you're using the bottom cut, okay? Now here, just to make it easier for you, this is your rear sight. If you're using 1, 3, 4, 500 meters, your front post, which is red, would be in line with the bottom cut. Okay. If you're using 600, 700 meters, your front post is now moved up to the top of the bar, which is now cut. Now, if you remember, the rifle, the top bar is not cut, and it's straight right across. But they've since cut that. Now we know why they did it this way. When I had the rifle, we could not understand why did they have this shape. Now it makes a lot of sense. The reason why they had this bar is because they cut it for 600 and 700 meters. Okay, so that explains why. I thought it was the oddest shape, but now it makes a lot of sense why the Chinese did the rear sight this way. Very interesting. Okay, the top handguard is the same. The two of them, no different. The only difference is that now they're putting serial number on the gas piston extension, which is right about here, which is right there. There's serial numbers on there, so it's weird why they need to do that, but there is a serial number. In the rifle, there's no serial number on the gas piston extension. Okay, basically the top handguard is interchangeable. The bottom handguard, obviously they look different. Okay, this is more squarish, this is more round, but they're not interchangeable. If you try to put this on this, you're going to have the thicker barrel touching the inside of the handguard, and if you happen to rapid fire, you're going to end up burning burning that handguard. So yes, I would not consider that interchangeable. What else I need to talk about? Okay, trigger pull. I need to talk about the trigger pull. The two of them are the same. They're about between 7 and 7.5 pounds for the trigger pull. So that hasn't really changed much. Let's see, let's keep moving forward to the barrel. The barrel is 20.5 inches long, and the overall length of the LMG is 40.5 inches. As I mentioned before, it weighs 10 pounds empty, no mags. So you can imagine throwing a few more pounds for the drum fully loaded. Yeah, it gets kind of heavy, and that's kind of nice to have this carrying handle. Just love it. And this handle is attached quite simply by a screw. If you look at this, all it is you undo the screw and it comes off. It has a pin and a screw, and it's just bolted to the side of the sight block right there. Okay, now let's keep moving forward. Let's talk about the thickness of this barrel. I don't know, when I think of LMG, I was thinking of the barrel being lighter, but this barrel is quite heavy duty. The thickness of the barrel here, just in front of the handguard, is 19.6 millimeter, whereas the rifle, the thickness is only 16 millimeter. This is more than 3.5 millimeter thicker. So you can imagine, yes, it's nice to have that thick barrel. And the barrel in front of the gas block, the thickness is 18.1 millimeter. And obviously with the rifle, I can't measure it because the grenade launcher is in the way. Okay, so let's move along towards the bipod. Bipod operates this way. You pinch the legs together and you fold it backwards, and it won't fall. It's locked in. And you just pinch it, pull forward. It won't go any further than this, and just release it. The spring will push it out, and it'll open up. Now you can remove this bipod simply because there's two pins on the side, around the side of the barrel. You just punch them out. Just punch one of them out and it'll flap over and you can remove it. Okay. Now now how do you remove the cleaning rod? You cannot remove the cleaning rod with this extended. Okay. You need to close this before you could remove the cleaning rod. And I usually simply use a tool like this, stick it into the hole, have a better grip, and normally you would push down and then pull out. And that's how you just yeah, like that. Okay, and then you just put it back in. Now if you have this this bipod opened like this, you would not be able to remove the cleaning rod. Okay? Now let's talk about the front sight. It's a hooded front sight, and to adjust the posts, they actually give you a tool. Let me move this out a little bit. Remember I said I was going to talk some more about this this toolkit that was in the buttstock, and I did clean some of this oil. Okay, let's talk about what's in that toolkit. Okay, first of all, it has these cotter pins. There's two of them. I don't know what it's for. If any of you know what it is, please let me know. Okay, it also has a driving pin. You can also use the front handle, and this handle goes on top of the front sight post, and that's how you would adjust the height of the front post, like that. It goes in like that, and then you turn it. Very simple. Next, of course, this is for your rag. This is the cleaning rod extension. Goes like this. If you don't put the cleaning rod extension, you won't be able to reach all the way down the barrel. So you put it at the end of the cleaning rod, and it helps you clean your barrel, the bore. And of course, before you start shooting, there's lots of oil in the bore, so definitely run a rag through it just to make sure. Okay, now here's an interesting thing. Most communist or red com guns, we always end up using the SKS sight adjusting tool. Okay, not in this case, because they provide a wrench to adjust the front sight, and it goes in like this. Okay, you see that? This is the wrench, and it goes in the back of the sight block, and you loosen it up, and when you loosen it up, it releases the dovetail and will allow you to drift this sight block, the whole entire sight block, horizontally. Okay, so they even provide you with a tool to adjust your front sight horizontally and vertically. Okay, so that's nice. Now I don't know what this other end does, and however, I can see a person using it to adjust. You know, you can just fit this in like this and change the gas regulator with this. Okay, and backtracking about the gas regulator, it's the same as the rifle. It's 201. Of course, you would start shooting at 1, and as the rifle gets dirty, you would then switch to 2. Now with the rifle, you only use 0 when you're about to launch a rifle grenade. Now why does the LMG needs a 0? I don't know. It's not capable of firing a rifle grenade because it doesn't have a grenade launcher. So I don't know why it has that 0, but it's still there. But you can use this tool, or you could use the back of a cartridge like this, and you can regulate your gas that way. Now I'll come to a very interesting piece of tool that was in a toolkit which I did not expect, and it's this split casing tool. It is an extractor. This is really interesting. What it does is, if the back of your casing splits and then the front is still stuck in the chamber, you would then shove this inside that, and then your bolt, your extractor on the bolt would pull this back, expanding these 3 prongs over the rim, and then pull the split casing out. Interesting, very interesting. I love that. So of course, let's see, let's keep moving forward, and we're coming up to the muzzle. It does have a muzzle protector, and to turn that, you need to push this pin, spring loaded, then you unscrew it like that. The thread is M16x1 right hand. Now 16x1 right hand. I've been looking for a muzzle brake or flash hider. I don't think there is one. You could get a adapter, a silencer adapter, and then do it that way, but then we're getting to an extra expense. So I'm hoping that the importer would bring muzzle brake, flash hider that will fit the M16x1. So that's what I'm hoping. Or maybe a manufacturer in Canada could start doing that for us. So that would be great to have a muzzle brake. Okay, so that basically concludes. Let's see, am I missing anything? I don't think I'm missing anything. So that concludes the first comparison, the LMG to the rifle. Okay, the next comparison is with the LMG to the Chinese RPK. And the reason why I need to compare that is because when Chinese got the AK-47 and of course the RPK, they weren't crazy about it. They kind of thought there was a lot of deficiency in that, and they went about trying to improve it. And the Type 81 is what they finally succeeded after 30 years of trying to improve the AK. So we're going to make a comparison between the LMG and the RPK and see how successful they were to improving the AK-47 platform. So stay tuned for part 2 on the comparison. Now before we start the comparison, I'd like to say that no part of these guns are interchangeable except for the bipod. Not even the butt plate. They're not interchangeable. Okay, so let's start from the back and move to the front. Although the buttstock looks similar, they are not interchangeable because the RPK buttstock is attached by a tang, while the LMG is attached by these 2 pins. So they are not interchangeable. Not only that, they're of course different length too. But the style is similar, but other than that, that's about it. Let's see, let's going forward. Even the grips are completely different. They may work, but it is completely different. The receiver on the Type 81 is longer by ½ an inch. The thickness is the same, still 1.5 millimeter. And where is the ½ an inch gone into? Well, if you see a gap between the trigger guard and the mag catch, that's where the ½ an inch went into. Plus the fact that this trigger guard is smaller than the RPK. Actually all AK-47 mag catch is incorporated into the trigger guard. Okay. Also, the RPK has this selector, which is also doubles as a dust cover, whereas the Type 81 has gone to a AR style selector switch. You just use your thumb, which is quite nice. So that's one big improvement they did over the RPK. Now this is a deactivated one, so therefore this top cover is completely welded and I can't get into the inside, but I know that both uses a rotary block. They're quite similar, but I'm sure they're not interchangeable. All the internals might be similar, but they're not interchangeable also. Okay, another nice thing that the LMG has improved over the RPK is that the box magazine does have a BHO feature. So the bolt will hold back on the last round. That's another improvement they did over the RPK. Okay, now let's move along to the sight block. The RPK uses a tangent sight system. It goes from 0 to 800 meters, whereas I already discussed with you earlier, the LMG uses a dial system, and it goes from 0 to 700 meters. Okay. And obviously the very noticeable improvement the LMG has over the RPK is that it does have a handle. This one does not. Okay, and this handguards and the top handguard, they're not interchangeable, they're just different. different. Moving along to the gas system. Okay, RPK uses a long stroke. In other words, basically the gas piston is connected to the carrier. Okay, it's one whole system. So this whole thing moves back and forth. And the Chinese felt that was a deficiency. The long stroke shakes too much, and they preferred to use the short stroke. So this is the short stroke system. Next, the RPK does not have the gas regulator. This does, as I mentioned to you before, it has 0, 1, and 2. Next, the barrel. Now this is a big surprise. I was actually quite surprised that this LMG barrel is a lot heavier than the RPK. Now, as I mentioned before, the barrel diameter just before the handguard is 19.6 millimeter, while the RPK just before the handguard is only 16.7. There's almost 3 millimeter difference. Wow, I'm surprised. I thought this would be heavier. So if this is considered a light machine gun, then this is like somewhere between a light and a medium machine gun. So this was a big surprise. I thought they would be the same, but they're not. The Type 81 LMG is a lot heavier barrel, and that's why this weighed 10 pounds empty, no magazine, while this one only weighed 9.5 pounds. So where's the half pound come from? Well, it basically all in the barrel. Okay, let's move on a little bit further. Before the gas block, this diameter is 15.5. This diameter is 18.1. Wow, what a difference. And they're about the same length. As I mentioned before, the bipods are very similar. They're interchangeable, except, and actually there's no except, that there are almost interchangeable. The difference, I would say, is that the foot, the pod comes into the middle of it on the LMG, and the RPK it's towards the back, and that's the only distinction between the two of them. Okay, moving along to the sight block. The front sight adjusted, the old-fashioned, SKS adjustable tool system, where I was already mentioned to you, the LMG provides you with a wrench that you can loosen up the front sight block, and it then move it horizontally on this dovetail. Okay. Now on the RPK, it comes with a built-in flash hider and compensator. It's already built in. I wish this one would do, or at least have it available to us. It's not, and that's basically it. So would I, in my opinion, that yes, I think the Chinese had successfully improved, although it might took them 30 years to improve on the AK-47 base, which they weren't crazy about, and they tried it with the Type 63 and then the Type 68, and they tried all sorts of other till they finally in 1981 successfully, in my opinion, greatly improved on the AK-47 base. Okay, now let me summarize the LMG in comparison to the rifle. Yes, the quality is better. Okay, not perfect, but better. Both of my rifles are straight. None of them are bent. I had one rifle that was quite severely bent, which I returned, and without any hassle. The one I have right now is just slightly bent, so it's not a problem. but these, both LMGs, the phosphate one or the Park ones and the blue one, they seem straight. And also the pin that holds the mag catch, both are they're punched in, so there's no chance of them falling out. And in one case, on the forum, somebody had a loose rivet, a trunnion loose rivet, which is quite dangerous. But so obviously now they're all inspected before they leave the factory. That's a good thing. So yeah, everything is looking up. Not totally perfect yet, but much better than it used to be. So that basically concludes my comparison, LMG to the rifle, LMG to the RPK. Thank you very much for joining me, and please subscribe.